Welcome back to Mighty Little Green Machine. In today's video, we're going to be showing the Rotary Cutter some love. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start not restoring this, but cleaning it up, getting it painted, fixing a couple of things I found with it this past weekend. I've ordered new blades for it. I've ordered the floating top link for it, which is why these did this. Because the floating top link allows it to come up in the back when you hit things, and I didn't. When I bought this used, I didn't know it ever had one. I now know. Thank you, Frank Ponte. So I ordered one to fix that, and then I'll straighten these out or replace them and straighten all that out. Then I'm going to kind of clean it up the best I can. I'm not going to go nuts, and then I'm going to paint it, put new blades on it, and hopefully I can get several years of service out of it. Right now, I have the end of the PTO shaft that goes on the tractor soaking in mystery oil, Marvel mystery oil. The button, when I was going through it, that puts it on and off the shaft and locks it in on the shaft from the tractor, sticks. It was real sticky. I lubed it. It was working, but then when I went to take it off, I had to use a hammer. So I'm going to soak it for a few days, let everything get up inside there, and hopefully that'll solve that problem. And then the other thing I've got to get coming is a new cover for the shaft, because if you noticed in the video of me mowing with it, the whole cover is spinning. It doesn't lock where it's like it's supposed to anymore. It's all beat up. So I'm going to get a new cover for that as well. Okay, so you already saw that I have the drive shaft soaking in mystery oil. Now I'm going to start taking the pieces off of all these extra pieces here off of this, so it'll be easier to clean up, easier to paint, and obviously I've got to replace these. I'm not even going to try and bend them. I got the specs offline. It's just regular flat stock, so I'm going to go ahead and go grab a couple of pieces of flat stock and replace them. Now because of it's all being so big. I'm also going to put, if you watched the earlier video, I changed this bushing out, but I'm going to put the correct bushing back in there while I have it apart. Funny, I thought that these would bend a little at the bottom here that I was going to have, but there you are. They used to be very straight. You can see it's very nice shape now. I did take pictures of all this before I started, just in case. And look, all the parts for this are available, and they're not real expensive, so I'm really hoping I can just use this for a very long time. Give it some love and clean it up. Another one. Again, that was straight. Now, there was some bend to this when I bought it, but I finished it doing that job last weekend. Okay, a little bit overkill, I get it, but it'll work. This is actually a little bent too. Not much, but some. heat that though and straighten it. I'm not going to buy a new one of those. No one to help you hold the things. So I'm looking at this now, and the 3-point hitch pins are bent too. Those I will replace. Oh, looks like these lift arms have been replaced before. I looked them up online. They're $64 each, but they're not horrible. So I'll give them a little heat and straighten them out a little bit. I don't know if you can see this or not. This pin is bent that way, so I'll replace those. They're not a lot of money. This is how you adjust the height. I already like the height on this, so I'm going to leave it. Now I could pull the gearbox off, but I'm not going to bother. I'm going to clean up around it. I will pull the rest of this drive shaft off at some point. I'm not going to do it tonight, but I want to show you right down here. You can see something hit that at some point and it tore the metal. I'm going to pound that back into shape the best I can and just weld it back in. Doesn't really make much of a difference, but as long as I'm in here, I might as well. So I'm pretty stripped at this point. Like I said, I'll pull this shaft off. I'll tape off that and the plugs. I may even paint the plugs a different color. I can't decide if I want to paint it green or do a yellowish. I bought some Caterpillar yellow. It's the closest I could find to this Cutter yellow. But I may do it green, John Deere green. We'll see. Okay, so here's where I'm at so far. I've started working on this with a flap wheel. It's a 40 grit flap wheel. I just ordered 10 more. I bought one to try it, but I want to get I'm going to need probably at least one more to do this, but I've got the spot all ground down and ready to weld back together. I also just ordered an extension cord for my welder so I can get it out here and weld this. So that'll all be here tomorrow. My game plan and hope is I can get this thing welded up and painted tomorrow and then back together on Monday. Okay, so I want to show you what I found. And I saw this the other day and I thought this was the case, but now I'm totally sure. Right there used to be a grease fitting. At some point somebody broke it off. So the problem now is I can't get any grease into this U-joint. So what I'm going to try and do first is drill a small hole and see if I can get it with an easy out. And then if that doesn't work, I'll drill it and tap it to fix it. But I'm definitely going to take care of that before it goes back onto the tractor so that I can keep it lubed and greased. It's still tight, so that's good. I don't need to replace the U-joint, but it will go bad. So we'll add that to our project list. Okay, so I went to center punch the broken off grease fitting, and it turns out it wasn't a broken off grease fitting, that the fitting's actually missing and there was just debris in there. So I have a grease fitting kit, and I did find that the threads are kind of a little messed up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a tap and just run it down inside there and rebuild the threads, and then install the grease fitting and then put grease in this, and that part of it will be done. Like I think I mentioned before, the gentleman that I bought this from wasn't really good on maintenance. He didn't know how to do it. He wasn't that handy, so he probably didn't even realize he should have a fitting in there. But let's tap it. Okay, so I have it's a 1/4 28 pitch tap because the grease fitting is a 1/4 28 pitch thread. And the hole's good and clean now, so we're just going to start this slow. And if you've never tapped before, it's really not hard. You want to try and keep it straight. Of course, I can't get it started. And then once you get it started, every few turns down, you want to back up some, because what happens is it gets burrs and stuff. So when you back up, it pulls the flakes out. There, it started now. Nope, it came out again. I don't know why this isn't starting. Usually they'll just start going in. Because of the way they're designed at a taper, so they start themselves. Of course, it's going to move now. Now, what I would have done if this was solid and I couldn't get the piece out is drilled the hole. There's always a corresponding drill bit size. There's a chart that usually comes with your tap and die set, and if not, you can find it online. And what you do is you look up which size tap you're using, and it'll tell you what size drill bit to use for the right hole. Okay, so it's starting to get tight, so I'm going to back it up a little. Just break those burrs off and then start going again. I love this tap and die set. This is from Gear Wrench, and because they handle ratchets, it's so much nice and easy. Then back again. Should probably put a little oil in this, but it's not that deep of a hole. Okay, I'm bottomed out. These are brittle, these taps, so you want to be careful, because when you break them off, they're very hard to get out when you break it off in the hole. Now, this isn't that deep, and this just kind of came to a stop, but because I was going nice and slow, I realized it came to a stop, and I did just break the tap off. Now I'll just take it back out. And then the grease fitting should thread right in. Okay. Also, these are also actually the formal name of these is Zirc fittings, but most people just call them grease fittings. Okay, so I need to get the socket. Okay, so this one's 5/16. They're pretty standard. Nice, that's going in good. Now what I don't want to do is over tighten it and break it off again, or break it off this time. Okay. I have no idea how long it's been since this U-joint's had grease in it. There it goes. Okay, so this just started to bulge, so I'm going to stop. But that was pretty dry. That'll be a much happier joint when we put it back in the or use it next time, I mean. Oh, that feels good. Nice and tight. What you're looking for in a bad U-joint is play. They get loose. So this is nice and tight side to side, and this is nice and tight that way side to side. This joint's still really good. It's not binding. That's the other thing that can happen. That happens more if you don't grease them. But that one's good and free. Ready to go. Okay, so this is the other side of it. This is the release button that puts it on and off to the shaft on the tractor. If you remember, I've been soaking it in mystery oil, and it is still very sticky. So looks like it's only held in with a roll pin right here. I'm gonna pull this pin and pull this apart and see if I can clean it out, because I really don't want to have to. I need a bigger punch. It's working. That might be a problem. No, it's coming. It's just stuck. Really don't know what the right answer was there, because a smaller punch would have gone inside the roll pin more, and a bigger punch would have got stuck. So I don't know. But now this punch is stuck. And it's coming out. Things like this happen. Just keep working it. There we go. And it's even still pretty straight. Okay, now I think that pin is out enough to get this button out. A little groove on the side of it that I'm using the screwdriver to start it. Now, there's probably a spring in here, so I gotta be careful here. There it goes. It's so tight in there. Looks like there's crap in there. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just from lack of taking care of it. Well, it's not even that. It's just from it sitting outside all these years. I think we can fix it though, I hope, because I don't want to have to buy a new shaft. And I don't want to have to bring tools to put it on and off the tractor every time. It is gummed up. You can see all the, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's all kinds of debris coming out. There it goes. Luckily, the spring stayed in it. So I don't know if you can see all this debris. So I'm gonna try and just clean it out. I'm gonna polish this with probably with a little bit of emery cloth. You broken? This might be broken. Let me see. I'm gonna get a rag. I think that's just how it's put together. But obviously there's two grooves it needs to ride on when it goes back in. Problem's gonna be cleaning up inside there. Yeah, that's all just rusty and pitted. I think if I polish this up, and clean it all up and then put a good coat of grease on it, that'll work fine. That explains why the mystery oil didn't work though, because it's just so gummed up, and I don't know if you can see, it's all scarred and you can feel how rough it is, so it's just sticking. Let's see what the rest of it looks like. It's hard. I don't know if you can see down inside there or not, but it's all just rusty and gunky. I'm gonna try and clean it all out, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, so I took it apart, as you saw. I cleaned it all up, I cleaned up the inside. It turned out that it was a little split in the inside, so I had to just smooth that with the flap wheel and then actually put it in the vise and bring it round again. And now, if you could look, that works awesome. It's all fixed. So that problem. So now all I got to do on this is see if I can get that other drive shaft cover to lock on, which would be awesome. And then I am done with the drive shaft and don't have to do any more with it. Hold on a minute. Let me go get it. Okay. I was able to get this guard to snap in on both sides. It's locked like it should. So that should, and then I put some 100-mile-an-hour tape on this because it was torn a little. This probably is not a forever solution, but I'm sure I can at least finish this season on it, if not more. So the drive shaft is now ready to go. That problem is off our list. Okay, so now I'm going to replace these supports that go from the back of it up to the front. These are supposed to be straight. They weren't straight when I got it, but I finished them off because I didn't have that floating top link on there. So I went to Tractor Supply. I looked them up. They were like $27 each to buy them done from King Cutter. But it's just 1.5 inches by 1/4 inch thick by 38-inch long flat bar. That's it. So I went to Tractor Supply. Now, unfortunately, I could either buy 36 inches or 72. I can't get 2 out of 72. I can't get 1 out of 36. So I had to buy 2 pieces of 72-inch long. Now, it was $21 each. So it was, I probably, with shipping and everything, saved about 25 bucks. Now, I probably could have gone to a metal place and got scrap for a lot less. I just didn't have the time nor the energy to do it. So I'm still happy with this. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut these, and then I'll drill the holes in both sides, and then I'll sand them down and I'll paint those black. And then I can get rid of these relics. So let me cut. Okay, so for a primer, I'm using this Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer. Supposedly it converts rust to a paintable protected surface. I don't know if it works or not, but I guess it'll make me feel better. So that's what I'm going to primer everything with. Okay, so there is one of the back pieces, front to back pieces that I made, all done and painted, ready to go. So I primed it in that Rust Max and then painted it with implement paint because that seems to hold up better. And then this is all in primer now, ready to be painted. I did a very horrible job welding it up, but it won't go anywhere. My welding seems to get worse. It's a perishable skill for sure. I got to start practicing again. Oh, I missed a couple of spots. So I am out of primer. So I got to get more tomorrow. And I think this video is starting to run long. So I'm going to turn it into a 2-parter. In the second part, we will finish getting the blades swapped out because I have not figured out how to get those off yet. We'll finish painting everything. We'll get it all put back together again and ready to use. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.